Dr. Said Alwi Muhammad Sultan. Welcome to 20th Cliff 2025. Hayyakumullah. Ladies and gentlemen, Musharikeen al-Kiram, we are delighted to have Yang Berbahagia Dr. Said Alwi Muhammad Sultan, Chief Executive HRD Corp, to deliver a special presentation this afternoon titled Balancing Between VBI and Financial Performance and Stability, the Islamic Banking Conundrum. Please join me in welcoming to the stage of 20th Cliff 2025, Dr. Said Alwi Muhammad Sultan. Tafaddalu.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sitting through the session just now reminded me of an anecdote. Datuk J, is he still here? He has left. When he started saying, after going past 10 minutes and saying, can I have another 1 minute? It reminded me of a speaker. When he comes on stage, he's a person who likes to speak. So when he speaks, and the next session, guys, please beware. He speaks without looking at the crowd, so animated, fixated on his speech. After an hour of speech, half of the room already left. He looks up, he continues with his speech. For another 1 hour, another half of the room already left. And finally, he finishes his speech, and he looks up, and he sees one last person sitting at the back of the room. He's so excited, so happy, because there's one person who listened throughout his speech. And he said, "Sir, can I know who you are? Thank you for sitting through my session. Can I know who you are?" That person stands up, goes to the microphone, and he says, "I am the next speaker." So the next session, please beware. That's what I'm going to do. Now, I almost got that vibe when Datuk J said, do I have another 10 minutes, Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, the topic is going to be dry. So I am going to make it dry. I'm going to talk about balancing between VBI and financial performance and stability. I'm going to be assisted with the latest technology on AI, which is going to be voice driven, or rather what they say is, what is the term used? It's voice detection. And you will see that in a short while. We will have an AI assistance. And the chatbot in HRD Corp is known as Bella. So I will get my chatbot to assist me in a short while. Now let me start the session by giving you a little bit of a story. And in fact, it relates to the last question that Dr. J asked in the session. Now in the year 2021, the International Energy Agency, the IEA, issued the net zero target by 2050. What this means is countries and companies will have to commit by the year 2050 that the amount of greenhouse gas emissions that they emit into the environment will be fully balanced by the amount of GHG gases that they are able to remove from the atmosphere. That's what net zero target means. In the same year, 2021, the Net Zero Banking Alliance, the NZBA, was launched with 43 founding banks under the auspices of the United Nations Environment Programme Finance Initiative, UNEP-FI. By the year 2023, there were more than 140 banking institutions and in 40 countries that joined the alliance. Now, between 2021 and 2023, something bizarre happened. Can I get my chatbot Bella to tell us what I'm referring to in terms of the bizarre thing that happened between 2021 and 2023? Bella, can you share with the audience what happened?
Sure, Dr. Said. The report published by Germany-based Urgewald, 2024, showed that commercial banks provided US $470 billion in loans and underwriting to the coal industry between January 2021 and December 2023. The significance of this is that according to the IEA, the coal industry is the single largest source of CO2 emissions in the energy sector globally. To achieve the net zero target set by IEA, the global coal consumption must fall by around 90% by 2050 compared to today.
Thank you, Bella. You're clapping for me or for the AI? For the AI, you see. Now, this is the paradox, right? Whilst 140 banks signed up to joining the Net Zero Banking Alliance, target net zero by 2050, and yet banks continue to fund the coal industry, which is one of the largest single source of producers of GHG gas emissions. This goes against the grain of achieving the net zero target, all right? Why are banking institutions continue on their funding spree of these kind of industries? And Islamic banks are also included in this. Now, we must understand that banking institutions have an intimate and robust relationship with companies, corporations that are unfortunately involved in the adverse environmental impact, right? The coal industry as a case in point. Now, can I ask the audience, and again, to make this exciting, can I have my staff? We will distribute some free gifts. You see, I'm using AI and also free gifts to keep you guys awake. How many banks do you think are still in the NZBA, Net Zero Banking Alliance? Can anyone give me a raise of hands? How many banks are still in the Net Zero Banking Alliance? The speakers cannot give answer. Yeah? Anyone? Yes, I have a raise of hand right at the end there. Just give me a number, shout the number. From 140 in 2023, what happened? Exactly, they don't exist anymore. The Net Zero Banking Alliance ceased to exist as of last month, simply because banks no longer follow the net zero target, right? Anyway, can we give that lady out back there a gift? Now, regardless of what happened to the Net Zero Banking Alliance, let me ask the question, Islamic banks continue to fund the coal industry, continue to fund industries that allegedly pollute the environment. Should we reprimand these Islamic banks? Are these Islamic banks considered going against the grain of VBI? Are these Islamic banks considered unethical? Can we do that? Can we say that? Let me give you another perspective. And before I do that, let me ask you another quiz. When it comes to the coal industry, what are the top 3 countries that produce coal? Can anyone, again, show me a show of hands? Top 3 countries that produce coal. Anyone? Come on, guys. I'm not going to stop. Next session is not going to happen if you don't answer. Anyone? USA? All right. That's one answer which is wrong. Yes, Prof? Indonesia. Well done. Round of applause for Prof. Rosni. Datuk. And something for her as well. Now, let's get Bella to answer that question, yeah?
Dr. Said. The top 3 coal producers are China, India, and Indonesia. The coal industry roughly contributes between 2.5% to 3.6% to the economy of these countries.
So there we go. The top 3 countries who produce coal are China, Indonesia, and India, which happen to be the top 3 countries from a population point of view who make up 40% of the global population. So if we consider that these countries are doing unethical activities, we are going to be depriving these economies of their economic growth, which contributes, as mentioned just now, 2.5 to 3.6% of GDP. Now, let's change our attention to the importers. The 3 countries were the exporters. Who are these importers and why do they import coal? Because you always have to have the demand and supply. Why do companies import coal? Bella.
The most compelling reason is for the energy security and industrial demand. Energy security is to keep their populations supplied with electricity. Industrial demand is for the industrialization of these economies that offers job opportunities for the people.
So there you go. If I translate that information, basically by providing funding or financing for the production of coal, we are helping countries to keep their population warm during winter. We're helping them to give jobs and basically creating a sustainable society and the economy. So, do we fund these companies or not? Is this unethical or not? Is this going against the grain of VBI or not? By funding coal companies involved in what is presumably, coal is one example. Deforestation is probably another example. But there is a viable economic purpose for these industries and companies to continue in operation. And therein lies the conundrum. This conundrum creates tensions in several dimensions. The conundrum is basically twofold. Firstly, by restricting funding towards companies and countries that produce coal, as an example, we are depriving them of their growth potential and causing disruptions to the economy. The second conundrum is that, or the second paradox, is that by pulling back from funding these companies, which are allegedly causing environmental pollution, banks are depriving their shareholders of potential returns, right? Now, for example, when Islamic banks, Bank Islam as an example, funds these companies, they have a responsibility to their shareholders. Bank Islam has to pay dividends to Tabung Haji, and Tabung Haji savers are basically pilgrims, right? So the pilgrims should not be deprived of potential returns simply because there is a global movement on environmental protection and things like that. Now, here is the good news. Research suggests that when Islamic banks improve their corporate social performance, a term which refers to doing good to society, their financial performance also improves. There is a positive correlation. And here's the bad news. The bad news is, as Islamic banks improve on their corporate social performance, they adversely impact the financial stability. This means the probability of default increases, and thus they may pose a systemic risk to the financial system. This is the conundrum in a nutshell. So as banks do more good stuff, the financial performance improves, but as banks do more good stuff, they may create or cause disruptions to their financial risk, increase or heighten their financial risk that may create a systemic problem to the entire financial system. So what do we do now? How do we encourage Islamic banks and the entire banking industry to be responsible to society and the environment while also ensuring the financial sustainability and risk management is intact? Let's ask Bella.
Do you want me to give the short answer or the long answer?
Give the short one and then the long one, Bella.
Fine. The short answer is for all participants at CLIF to study your thesis titled Impact of Corporate Social Performance on Financial Performance and Stability, Evidence from Islamic Social and Conventional Banks. The long answer is, to foster innovation and encourage sustainable practices within the financial sector, policymakers should consider implementing sandbox mechanisms that provide a controlled environment where regulatory hurdles are temporarily eased, allowing financial institutions to experiment with new sustainability-focused regulations. Central banking and monetary authorities should provide credible incentives that recognize the effort of financial institutions in promoting financial inclusion in their activities and their portfolio. The incentives can be in the form of tax incentives, or lower risk weightage on capital charge on the balance sheet of these banks, or providing exclusive access to central bank funds for the purpose of promoting financial inclusion.
Thank you. So basically, that's all the time that I have. It's 15 minutes. Look, like I said, I'll stick to the time. And basically, the conundrum is real. As Islamic banks are facing pressures to provide financing, they also have to ensure that they manage their shareholders, and they also have to manage society and the environment. This is a conundrum. It's not something that we can solve within the 15 minutes given to me. It's a whole dialogue by itself. I would end my presentation here. I thank you. Bella, would you also like to say thank you to the audience? Bella, are you there? There are three certainties in life. Three certainties in life: death, taxes, and glitches when you use AI. Now, here's the real Bella. So always have backup. Bella, would you like to say thank you to the audience?
That is correct, Dr. Said. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. That's all we have for today.
Thank you, Dr. Said Alwi. And we now wish to invite Tuan Haji Makhtar Abdullah to the stage to present the memento. Dipersilakan. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, to Dr. Said Alwi. Thank you, Tuan Haji Makhtar.